Hello everyone. My name is Irene Dinero, taking up the Bachelor of Elementary Education from Class 2, Second Year College. And I am here your discussant for today, which is all about democratic education. Before we go through our discussion, we need first to know what its aim or what its objective. When we say democratic education, it has its vital role in creating awareness about democracy. Therefore, it should be open for all citizens of democratic society. Apart from being open to everyone, it is essential for a democratic education um, to make a maximum efforts for providing best education to children. As we go through or proceed with our discussion, we need first to know what is democratic education, right? Democratic education, from the research that I've made, it is the decentralization of education which aims to empower students to exercise their self-determination in terms of their education. It means that students are allowed to choose what and how they will study within the given framework. From their community, greater leverage, and it also makes them accountable. Somewhere else is democratic education is a pedagogical concept that has developed over the past 100 years, meaning that students are in charge of their own learning, which is self-directed learning. For example, the kids participate in the decision-making process. They enjoy the freedom of movement and exploration. They learn through being surrounded by adults who are there to support them. In a nutshell, it is an environment free of medication and full of positive emotional connections. Democratic education also supports youth empowerment to become independent and conscientious citizens and promotes a sense of belonging and well-being. First thing, before we proceed to our discussion, can I ask if we are aware that in any educational institution, students have the right? Based from the research, I see that to make their own choices regarding learning and all other areas of everyday life. In particular, they may individually determine what to do, when, and how, and with whom, as long as their decisions do not infringe on the liberty of others to do the same. And it also to have an equal share in the decision making as to how their organizations, in particular their schools, are run and which rules and sanctions, if any, are necessary. Democratic education is defined by this organization as education conducted in keeping with the above resolution. Democratic education also is a education which most appropriately meets the needs of the learner. The community and society does this through developing reflective individuals who are collaborative problem solvers and creative flexible thinkers, and just a world of constant political turmoil and emergent technology skills. Democratic education can apply to learners of all ages in any learning environment. That said, a significant focus is placed on democratic schools and children, as that is where a lot of the formal equal say over significant decisions such as school rules, curricular projects, the hiring of staff, and even budgetary matters. This is self-directed discovery that learners choose what they learn, when, how, and with whom they learn it. Learning can happen inside or outside of the classroom. Through play as well as conventional study, the key is that the learning is following the students' intrinsic motivation and pursuing their interests. So apart from all we tackled a while ago, there is always a various advantages and disadvantages of this democratic education. But we come first at its advantages. So I have here 8 advantages of democratic education. So firstly is freedom. So to prepare for democratic citizenship, students must learn to exercise their rights and able to understand their responsibilities. So choice, the ability to have autonomy in the direction of one's own educational path, and control, the ability to decide how to approach major educational needs. And these are the two main principles of democratic education. So students are given choice and control over their own educational careers. So students are being allowed to choose an area of study, and the entire educational plan revolves around that subject area. So students are provided opportunities to express personal opinions, make meaningful choices, and solve problems together in ways that reflect democratic process inherent to society. So I have here that in the American system, for example, democratic schools support Supreme Court guidelines for students' rights. Now here in second advantage of democratic education, which is active involvement. So in democratic education, view students as active participants in the process of their learning. So it takes into account their views, treats each pupil as individual who has their own skills and interests. So it allows them to follow the path they want to pursue. So it is not limited to a class lecture and extracurricular activity or even to the school grounds. So it requires always the students to learn civic participation skills in critical thinking, constructive debate, problem solving, collaboration, and working in groups as always. So these skills must be reinforced through meaningful practice, where the community service projects, integrated service learning, participation in student government and student courts, and involvement in school and community decision making. So thirdly is holistic learning. So we live in an increasingly global society. So one in which a nation's progress depends on understanding the world beyond its borders. So democratic education provides opportunities for students to learn about and understand other cultures and to develop a commitment to protecting the inalienable rights of all. So it extended the students' perspectives on rights and responsibilities to consider those of others as well their own. Fourth is equality. So democratic education is an education in which teachers and learners work together. So work together as equals. So democratic education is based on respect, tolerance, and care. So democratic education stems from a free and expressive dialogue with no rules, no conventions, just honesty and trust. Fifth is better citizens. So students learn to communicate as a thoughtful citizens by discussing school and community issues, as well as political topics, including current events and controversies. So they involve in a debates where constructive discourse and accept dissent in a democratic way. So it always requires free and thoughtful exchange. And democratic education provides a forum for all its stakeholders. So students, parents, faculty, staff, and administrators to think critically. And not just to think critically, but to listen actively and express personal convictions. Next one is decision making. So students in a way get trained for a better decision making and make decision that suits them. So class schedules are open for debate and vote so that all students in the class feel as if they had a voice in the decision making process of day-to-day educational tasks. So in democratic education also provide the students with real power to make decisions and learn. They may end up neglecting the essential lessons or subjects that they need. So next one is sense of ownership. It is the most advantage of democratic education. So when people own their choices, they are more engaged to make those choices work to their own benefit and good. So when a choice is pushed on a person without consent, the person does not have a sense of ownership and thus does not always feel compelled to work to make that situation a success. All for today, guys. I hope you get some getaway or take home about the essential of democratic education. I know I did not all the branches of democratic education, but I just focus on the essential of democratic education. So that's all. Thank you, guys, and I hope you learned something about my first video. See you and get blessed.